Come on in, girl. Oh, come on over here, come over here, hey, girl. Oh, shake it, shake it, shake it for me, wag that tail, girl. Oh, shake it, shake it for me, wag that tail, girl.
Oh yeah, just what they need, but then they fed me lies. It comes as no surprise that we still holding on, and fear would take it over. They said we don't belong. We will not anymore, cause maybe this is just the way that we roll.
All right. Welcome back to my world here on the internet. I'm your host, Moises Beauchamp Jr., alongside my co-host, Miss Brenda. Today we have a special guest. We have Noema Alavez Perez, Little Deuce's mom. If you're in here and you got any type of hate, just leave the room. Just leave the room now, because we're not tolerating no type of hate. You will be blocked ASAP. Alright? So with that said, let me kill this music and let Miss Brenda introduce our guest. Take it away, Miss Brenda. I don't think we hear you. I don't hear you. Can y'all hear her? I don't think you got any type of sound, Miss Brenda. You may have to go out and come back in. Now, let me see something. You're, you're not coming. I don't hear your sound, honey. You may have to come out. I'm gonna boot you out and
Let me know if you guys can hear me now.
we got Miss Brenda back. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Está el chiquitito mío. Okay, yes, like I'm sorry about that. We're always having some technical difficulties every single time, but I do appreciate everybody that's coming onto this call right now. I do have here Noema with me, and like it was previously stated, there will be zero tolerance. We are watching. I do have moderators on the call, so please do not get yourself booted out, because this is all about Dulce. So Noema's here, and before we start asking her a couple questions that just involve Dulce's character, what she liked, how this has impacted Noema since Dulce has disappeared. But before we do, Noema wanted to point out a couple of characteristics that Dulce does have that they're not noted to the public, and it is to have been told to law enforcement and to the national children, the ones who are developing the progression photos, that there are some things that should be added onto the photos just to pinpoint Dulce out. So, explícale ahí, Noema, de los característicos, de la cara de la nena, el scar, la quemadura y el lunar.
Yeah, she's about to explain a little bit about uh, different characteristics that little Dulce Maria has that you can't really see on the new picture that they came up with.
Dale.
Dulce, on her right side of her face, she has two moles, one almost close to her eye, and the other one all the way to her cheek. And she has another mole under her chin. She also has another mole on her right side of her hip. And when she was small, she got burned with soup, so she has a scar in her tummy.
And the scar is, ¿cómo va is it up and down or more like
Yeah,
this?
up and
Para arriba, para abajo? So she did, when she was younger, she did burn herself with some soup. So Dulce does have a burn on her stomach. And we all know that when children grow, those burn marks do grow with them. So sometimes it'll be near the belly button area, and it ends up being you know, nearby the chest. And she does have en la mano, en la izquierda o la derecha de la pierna, dijiste en una,
Right.
on the right side of her leg, where her thigh area is at and her hip area is at, she does have a birthmark, and it is noticeable. ¿Verdad que se puede ver? It is noticeable that she does have one there. And then, like how she explained right now, she does have three moles on her face. One is closest to the ear, and the one closest to the ear, that is the darker one, right?
Yes.
So that one right there is the one that we should look out for. The one closest to the ear on the right side, that one is darker. Then she has one underneath her eye, and then the other one underneath her chin. Those two are lightens, but after time they will darken. So it's been 4 years in, so they probably were darkened. So please people, when you guys are out there looking for a similarity in pictures, please note that she does have these three moles on her face, and that will bring her. How do you explain that? That definitely will uh, like cancel her out before anybody else. So if you do see a child with the same similarities as that picture with moles on her face, please contact the number that's provided for the British Police, the Anti-Predator Project. Everyone knows that we're working with the Anti-Predator Project, so that he's very easily accessible. He will answer. He does pick up his calls when he wants. When he does, I'm echoing. Well, that was probably earlier. All right, so that's what she wanted to include in descriptions about Dulce, and that's very important because when you see a child that resembles another child, because everybody resembles somebody sooner down the road. I mean, I have people that resemble me. I resemble people, or per people say, and that goes with anybody. But just remember that she does have three moles on her face. And if you did come in contact with this child and you did notice, maybe somebody came and they said, "Oh, that's my niece," or "That's this," and you helped her change, and you noticed that she had a burn on her stomach, please notify the Bristol Police Department, the FBI in charge, or Trent Steele from the Anti-Predator Project. Like I said, he will answer everyone's calls and emails coming in, because that is who we have right now currently working with the family. Oh, Moses was. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So,
that's because you gotta turn your volume down on your end so I won't echo.
okay. You ready, babe?
Are you done?
Yeah. With the part
All
about
right.
this.
Okay. Well, she basically answered my first question. Turn down your volume a little bit, because if I could hear myself, I'm echoing.
Right there?
Let's see. I can still hear myself.
Go ahead.
All right. So she basically answered my first question, which was to tell us a little bit about Dulce and what she was like when she was, home. And she basically told us that, with telling us about the scar and moles and whatnot. But I tell you what, why don't you go ahead and ask the questions, because I can hear myself real bad. So
Okay.
you go ahead and ask the questions.
Okay. That'll work. All right. So, share a little bit about Dulce María with us. Dinos un poquito de cómo es Dulce María antes de ella desaparecer.
Dulce, is- she loved to play with small children. She loves Frozen. She likes giving hugs and spending time with her family.
Okay, you think that Dulce, is there something that Dulce does all the time? Um, Tú sabes cómo son los niños, right? Como la nena mía, ¿verdad? Que ella siempre, donde tú la ves o ella se va, ella tiene un blanket con ella, and she's like real pega. So does Dulce do something that she does all the time that's repetitive? Like ella siempre ha cantado la misma canción because maybe durante el tiempo que ella está desaparecida, she had a favorite song that she would sing, and then you think, it's a possibility somebody heard her sing that favorite song. Is there something?
Let It Go, and the one that says, I love it when you call me señorita.
Oh, I love it when you call me señorita. I like that.
She always used to sing it on top of her lungs.
Okay. El día ese que tú fuiste que vas a ir para el parque, explícanos a nosotros, explain to us what you were doing. So you said you went home, right? Got the kids changed and everything like that, and then you guys decided to go to the park, right?
Yes.
And you had stated that you went to a previous ice cream place before
Yes.
the Sonoco. ¿Cuál ice cream place fue ese?
The one close to the bridge, going to entering the park.
The one closest to the bridge going into the park. Okay, you didn't notice anybody, no, ningunos carros de persiguiéndote de la misma distancia del parque hasta allá.
No.
No. When did you initially realize that Dulce María was missing? ¿Cuándo fue que te diste de cuenta que Dulce María no la viste cuando estaba sentada en el carro?
When I noticed that she wasn't answering or coming out when I was trying to look for her.
And that was when the last time that you did see her really clear is when she was going down the slide, ¿verdad?
No, she was going to the park.
She was going to the park. ¿Tú no la viste cuando estaba bajando por el slide?
Ya no me acuerdo. I don't remember.
¿Y cómo la familia tuya está coping con esto? ¿Cómo la familia tuya está every day? How are they coping with the situation every day? Because I see that your mom, the other day, she got some messages from people that were attacking her posts. How do you guys deal with that kind of stuff?
My mom trying to send me. I try not to go on social media or try to listen. Hacer no hacer caso a la gente and try to keep our faith up.
And what support have you received from, like, law enforcement and the community? ¿Qué soporte te han dado la comunidad y law enforcement y otras organizaciones durante el tiempo de la búsqueda de Dulce?
Though I had a lot of help. Some of them were, unos sí nos ayudan por el corazón y otros pues no buenas intenciones.
The rights. Okay, and what do you expect more from law enforcement? ¿Qué más tú quieres que ellos hagan para traer? ¿Tú crees que los efectos de ellos are they good, or you want to see more coming from them, or like, you want to hear more from them, not today and then like 6 months later you're hearing from them again?
Yeah, I would like to hear more about them.
More from them, like every week at least. How many updates do you get for Dulce from them?
We used to call one detective, but when we call him, he said he will return the call, but now we found out that we're no solamente podemos llamar, we could call the prosecutor and Lorena. Now that we learned that, we go there.
So you don't only have to get in contact with Detective Martinez, ahora tú puedes comunicarte with whoever that's in there if you want to know something about it, and that's pretty nice, because if you were under the impression that you could only speak to him, ¿verdad? So now que tú tienes eso, now I'm hoping that con esas puertas abiertas that you'll be able to get more going with them. Y algunas memorias o momentos que tú has tenido con Dulce María, que tú has tenido con Dulce María, que siempre is always repeating in your mind. Which ones do you hold close to you?
Let it go.
Let It Go, because that was her favorite song.
Yes, frozen.
Y la experiencia, ¿cómo te ha afectado a ustedes on the emotional level? Like, not, you already understand that she's missing, right? The emotional level, like, people need to understand that just because you're not real open, right? That doesn't mean that it does not bother you, right? So how are you dealing with, what are you going through emotionally right now that is a big impact in your situation with Dulce?
Well, I try to be strong for my kids, especially for ella Hope Emmanuel, and have to be strong for when Dulce comes back home. 'Cause being depressed is not easy. Trying to go every day, trying to keep tratar de ser fuerte and not think negative. Que la verdad sí it's really hard. There's some days that I can't.
It's hard to get up
Yeah.
and do your daily stuff and having to deal with I'm pretty sure que cada vez que suena tu teléfono or you get a text message o algo así, ¿verdad? Tú siempre con la ansiedad, that's Dulce. I could only imagine.
Especially if the cops come to my house y
Mhm.
tocan.
And you think it's for that, ¿verdad? Pero es para otras
Siempre,
cosas.
ajá, sí.
You open the door, when you open the door to these people, you open them with expectations. You look at them, you're already looking out the window, you're like, oh, it's the cops. You get happy, you get excited. How did they treat you after you open the door thinking that they're coming forward to really give you a message? You know, how do they treat you as soon as you open the door? Is it the same, like, is it nice, is it caring, or is it just more straight to the work and that's it? Compasión. ¿Tienen compasión contigo cuando abren la puerta y están hablando contigo, o es
Yes.
compasión? But none of that. Cada vez que ellos vienen nunca tienen información de nada, ¿verdad?
No.
How many photos did they show you of other kids that they think that it might be Dulce? How many photos within los 4 años ha tenido que ellos te han enseñado and said, do you think that this is Dulce? How many times have they reached out to you like that?
A few.
A
Even
few
at
times.
night. I
Even
remember
at
one
night.
time my mom received a picture like in the middle of the night.
Okay. So that you do be receiving, which that's pretty good. Now, con todos estos eventos que están organizando, ¿verdad? And all of these efforts to keep Dulce Maria's in the public eyes, to raise awareness about her disappearance. Are you content with that? Or we're wanting to build more, right?
Yes.
You want to do more
Yes.
than
We
what-
always celebrate her birthday, Christmas.
I know I love Christmas too. I'm a Christmas. I wasn't born in Christmas, but I like the holidays. A mí me gusta. Every time Christmas comes, and you know that's a big, real important holiday for a lot of, especially for children, because that's the holiday that they expect to see. And if she was already used to, you know, your holidays with her and things like that, any new development, algo nuevo, que ellos vinieron donde ti los guardias and they told you, hey, this is what's happening, this is new.
No, not in
No? No new developments as of yet.
No.
So, in the documentary, because I'm gonna say that real fast, but in the documentary, remember how they said it was well, not in the documentary, but they mentioned a black guy was going behind the buildings at the same time that Dulce was going back there. What did they tell you about that black guy?
Nothing. They said, a mí no me dijeron nada.
None of the
No.
black guy. Because in the documentary they stated that they already spoke to him. In el documentary, más después de donde tú paraste, si tú lo sigues escuchando, tú lo vas a escuchar. That's why I told you to watch the documentary, because there's a lot of stuff on there that I'm pretty sure that they didn't relate with you. ¿Y qué mensaje tú le quieres decir al público en cosa de always keeping out the eye for Dulce y soportando la familia tuya y usted o otras familias que están pasando por las mismas experiencias? What do you tell the public in reference to that?
Well,
¿Qué mensaje le dirás tú a ellos?
to keep faith, to not give up. Even if there's other kids that we have to watch over, because they need us, especially. There are kids that are missing, they're gonna need us more when they come back home.
And what advice would you give to parents? I understand lo que tú hiciste. I would sit in the car too, and I'm just being honest with you. Yo soy así. Yo soy reguevaga a veces. So a veces when I go to the park, I would do what you did. So I don't hold that part against you. A lot of people are like, oh, Manny and them was too young. Después que yo pueda ver el parque, yo me siento en mi carro. Because a mí no me gusta mucho el público. A lot of people don't realize it, but I really don't like to be in public. But I can relate on with you on that. But what would you tell another parent, just like I tell another parent now? You gave me an example of why I should not do that again. ever. Well, I don't, my kids are grown, but I'm going to be a grandma one day. So, que tú le digas al público de no hacer para que no cometen el mismo error que cometiste.
Puedo decir en español y translate it.
What would you,
I'm gonna say in Spanish and
Go
you
ahead.
can translate.
Mhm.
Pues de que por más que sea que donde creciste o el lugar que estás, si te tienes confianza, no tengas confianza. Es más, este mundo ya no es como antes. Ya
Ah,
hay mucha maldad. Pues uno nunca sabe, hasta fuera de tu casa puede pasar. No simplemente que se roban, que los atropellan o que, no sé, ya no es seguro.
she's saying that, se me olvidó. Oh my God, because I just had a brain fart. But I've done that too. Yo tengo una amiga, she's saying do not confide in the people, even although you reside there in a place for a very long time, do not confide in your community and still being open, because just like all of us, we're so used to living in an area for so long that we think we know everybody, but we really don't. And then that's what the issue is, that you revisit a place all the time, that you assume that it's nice, and it's going to be a safe place, especially at a park, because when you go to a park, what you're doing literally at a park is allowing your child to play at the park. You're not thinking, like, the only thing that you should be thinking about in the park is that your child fell and it hurt himself, ¿verdad? And damn, I gotta go to the hospital. That's what everybody thinks. No te caigas, because I'm not going to the hospital. Mira, no te tires por ahí, because I'm not going to the hospital. That's always, que no voy a ir para el hospital. But nobody says, hey, don't go over there that far because you might be taken. It's not what you're thinking about when you're going to a park. Some people just don't think about that when they're going to a park. But like how you said, when you know people, you don't really know the people. That's like me. I had an ex-friend who I thought I knew. But después she was acting like me, and she had pictures of my youngest son saying that that was her son. And luckily, I don't know what it would have happened from here to then. I don't know if they would have taken him or what. But you never know. That's why you can't, and it's just like you're right. You right what you said. Don't go nowheres. And just because you've lived there for so many times, that you should be able to trust people. And unfortunately, that was one of the mistakes that you did, because it's somewhere you go all the time.
Yes. She got comfortable. She got comfortable with her surroundings.
Yes. And we do that a lot. I mean, everyone does that a lot. We always get comfortable with going to the same place all the time. It's the same thing. Nobody is aware that there's somebody there lurking, looking. And it didn't have to be Dulce. That's what a lot of people don't understand. That day that happened to you, there was another little child in the park. You don't know if that person was looking at that little child that was in the park. Pero como ese niño estaba con otra persona, and there was probably, like there, they didn't do it, but then they seized the opportunity. They seized the opportunity when they seen that the kids were at the actual park by themselves. But it wasn't really because you went there to the park and somebody said, oh, Dulce's coming right now, we're going to take her. That's what people think, and that's what upsets me. You got to be logical. There's tons of people in the park. There's tons of predators in the park. And there's necessarily they're not going to go and wait for somebody specifically. They're just going to go for what they see. And unfortunately, at that time, it was Dulce. Y la relación tuya con law enforcement, hasta está más mejor ahora, o está más, is your relationship with the law enforcement, is it better now, or is it wishy-washy con ellos? Wishy-washy con ellos. Why do you think that they say that you have something to do with that? Why do you think that they say that all the time, when they don't even have evidence of anything?
I think because what I used to do when I was young, when I used to go out a lot, por la gente que les decía que I used to prostitute myself.
And that's what people were telling them? So they think that that's the reason why you chose to sell your daughter, is because you was doing that?
Pero I never nunca hice eso.
No, I know, that's what I'm saying. So they think that, and that's what's the matter with people, okay? That's what the matter with people. La gente se olvidan que not all the time do you have to be in a relationship with somebody. With anything. That's what's the matter with people. They don't know how to not say that. If you didn't do it, then you didn't do it. And they shouldn't even listen. 60% of those people in Britain are already gonna talk mierda, about. And those same 60% of them people, 25% of them people are worse than you. And all you did was sit in the car while your child played on the playground. But some of these people, 25% of them people that are talking mad caca are worse than you. That they rather tell a story and make themselves look good and make you look bad versus helping you out and figuring out where Dulce's at. So, how do you keep Dulce Maria's memory alive con tu familia? ¿Cómo tú la memoria con Dulce, con tu familia? ¿Qué ustedes hacen para nunca olvidarse de Dulce, like on a daily? Yo sé que tú tienes un foto, ¿verdad, en tu casa? Is that the photo that you look at?
I have pictures in my room. I have one in my car, and I even did a tattoo of her name in my hand. I don't know if that Malaya. And then I can't forget because Estrella does the same thing as she does. She wears every time. When I go to sleep and I wake up, I see Estrella with a dress, and she always thinks she's a person like those siblings.
Like Dulce. And you still have her dresses, right?
Yes.
Tú todavía tienes los trajecitos de ella y la hermana se lo pone.
No, you don't like.
You don't let her put them on? Okay. Sometimes I don't even have words hasta leyendo esto, I still be saying I don't even know what words I can tell you to like, to express that regardless of what people are saying, what people are doing, what they think of you or how they feel about you, deep down inside, you were Dulce's mother. And like you stated before, right? Your mom had custody of Dulce, ¿verdad? So, tú y Dulce no tenían mucho la relación de mother and daughter? No, ¿verdad? So, porque your mom raised her. Pero then you had your two girls, right? And you had Manny and then you had your two girls. Y ahora mismo with this that's happening, you're learning, right? Like how you say you're learning how to be a mom. Something that you didn't learn before. Although you had one, see, because that's where people get it wrong. I didn't grow up with a mom. I grew up with a grandma. So lo que ella me enseñó. But nobody, when I had kids, nobody taught me how to be a parent. Nobody said, hey, when this is going on, this is what's happening. It was more like, tú lo tuviste, that's your problem. That's almost
It's
like,
that there isn't a handbook or instructions for being a parent.
Melanie, screenshot that. So yeah, it's like me. Mira, when I had Josiah was my first kid, and I had him with an abusive man. He was abusive. He, I generally thought Josiah wasn't gonna be here. Si él me pegaba la mano una vez más. Pero, you know, um, so yo compré unos libros, and it was like Mother to Be, me recuerdo todavía, and it was like Mother to Be while I was pregnant, Mother to Be while I had the damn baby, Mother to Be when the kids was growing up. And let me tell you something, I threw those books in the trash because I had no guidance on it. And when I read it, I was like, who the hell does this with their kid? Like, this is like, like textbook, like, when you wipe their butt, I'm just saying, like, when you wipe their butt, you gotta put the wipey this way, or, like, calm, sing to your child. And I'm like, nobody's done that with me. When I'm upset or I'm agitated, I don't remember ever anybody singing to me, calming me down, putting me here, putting me there. It was more like, deal with your own feelings. And then that's where we close our feelings up, and we're like how we are today, because I'm like that. That's how you are. You don't like to express your feelings because you was never able to express them before, even while growing up. So that is a major part in why people always say you're not expressive enough. I'm not expressive enough, but I know that I love my family. I know that I love my kids, my sisters and her kids, but I'm not a real expressive person. And they even have a problem with that conmigo. They're like, Brenda, if you're going through something, tell me what you're going through. But I can't tell them. You want to know why? Because then that makes me look like I'm weak when they always looked at me like I'm strong. Right? And then that's how it is with you. When when people don't understand that you can't be all the time crying all the time. You at one point from here to from when Dulce disappeared till now, you have to gain strength, right? And be strong for her because when you're crying, you're sad and you're depressed, you don't think right,
Yeah, that's true.
right? And then you already have depression problems, right? You're already coping through stuff within yourself, and it's not good for you, and it's not good for your other kids to see you so down because you still have to be positive for the other children that are looking at you, ¿verdad? And then that's why you're mirrored into who you are today. Because a lot of people, ellos creen que every time they see you, ellos te quieren ver llorando todo el tiempo. They don't like to see you with makeup because if you put one pestaña on, you're too much. You know, if you comb your hair that day, that's too much. But what they don't know, how long it probably took you to do your makeup that day or your hair that day because you've been stressing for the past couple of days, thinking about your daughter who's not here with you right now. You know, and that's explain to the people how that feels like when when all you're trying to do is come forward and help bring Dulce home, and people are just making it seem like you're not doing enough. Explain to them how that makes you feel when you're trying to like how we're doing here with the events and stuff like that, and you still hear negative things. How do you feel about that?
It makes me sad. It makes me feel that I'm not worth being a mother. And that's it.
But you're always worth everybody as a parent. Listen, everybody as a parent commits mistakes, okay? We all commit mistakes. I've committed, Noema, thousands of mistakes. All right? And it's, like I said, there's no, like, how everybody's, there is no handbook to teach us how to be better for our kids. We just know that we don't want what we went through for our kids to go through. And you never went through anything at the park, so it's not like you can, but people need to realize that you in general, you have been out there. Every time we send you something, you're always on it. Or what is that, Brenda? Oh, firmalo, this is for this. And you do it. Because nothing that I can do, I can't do it without your permission. So this is why the reason why things are happening. Because without your permission, we can't do anything. And you give us all the permission in the world every time we want to do something to find Dulce. So, we, like I said, we appreciate everybody. Yeah. There are some corrupt. Are you screenshotting this, Mel? Because I can't do it. And what do you think about the new age progression?
I think the eyes se parecen un poco a Dulce, but I think she looks more like her dad than me.
You think she looks more like her dad? I can see some of your characteristics, especialmente los ojitos. Those are
Yeah,
yours.
I know. I do believe she has those eyes there, because her eyes are
Oh, yeah. Más un poquito más chinita ahora, because as they grow, she has those little almond eyes. She would stay with those almond eyes. And that's a way better picture.
Yeah.
And how do you, last year, when you told them, that doesn't look like my daughter, and they were telling you, well, they're not going to look the same. Every parent knows their child. You know how, you envision how they're going to grow, right? So them telling you, that were you, and sharing that last year's photo, it was kind of hard. Was it hard for you to share the photo and say that might be my daughter? The one that they did last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it didn't look like her. It didn't look like her. So that's, I was nervous in sharing that photo too, because I didn't want to have other people thinking another little girl that looked just like that photo that was Dulce, while Dulce was nearby somewhere else. I cannot answer text messages while I'm literally on a live.
You should mute your phone when you're on live.
But yeah, and everybody, like I said, I'm gonna say this again. And this is one of the reasons why I work with Noema and I like working with Noema because I see myself a lot in Noema when I was younger, and I'm one of those kind of parents that until something that really didn't happen to me, it didn't happen to me. Like, this is the reason why I used to have a whole lot of friend crowds. I had a whole bunch of friend crowds. I used to like friends, and then when that one friend did that thing to me, I closed myself in, and I was more concerned for my kids' safety and trusting another person around my children that I stopped having new friends, and I really didn't care for them. And that's just like Noema. You know, she goes to a park that she had already revisited from multiple times throughout Dulce's life and her life, that it felt safe. You know, nobody ever gave her the impression that if she left her child there playing for a little bit, that they were going to take her child. And, you know, and it wasn't really that far distance from where she was parked to the where she was playing at. The only thing that was not visible was the swings. So even within your community, within your community, you're still gonna have predators, regardless of anything. So that's who we need to look for. We need to look for the abductor. And with that being said, the sketch of the suspect that they're looking to question is back up again on the internet. If you've seen a gentleman that kind of resembles that person, which I still feel like that sketch was a little bit exaggerated itself. But keep in mind that some features might be different because we're 4 years in. And also keep in mind that if you do see someone that resembles this picture that's here on our screen right now, also note that she does have three moles on the right side of her face, one near her ear, that should be the darkest one by now. The one that's underneath her eye, close to her nose, she has one on her chin area, and she also has a burn mark on her stomach, going horizontal, and she also has a nice sized birthmark on her left thigh, outer thigh, near her hip area. She does look like a lot like Noema, although Noema says that she looks like her daddy. Pero ahí mismito se ve como tú. But so just keep in mind, guys. Once again, Dulce is still out there, and without you guys, we cannot bring Dulce home. It is time to bring her home. And with these new descriptions that they're not new, they're new to the public, but they're not new to law enforcement eyes. They're not new to the person who transmitted these photos. They're not new to when she was reporting that her daughter was missing. Y en ese tiempo, Dulce tenía, le faltaban dos dientes, ¿verdad? O algo así. Que me dijo tu maíz.
Yeah, she was missing two
She
teeth.
was
She
mi-
already, yo creo que ya le crecieron los dientes.
Yeah, and at the time that she did go missing, los dos de frente, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
The time that she did go missing, if you ever notice, the same little girl in the picture, she was missing two of her front teeth. So that might be another, thing that should have been sent out there, even when they did the Amber Alert, instead of just saying a clothing description. I'm pretty sure that they described the characteristics of the molds and the teeth that were missing, the burn mark, the birthmark on her left outer thigh. So these things are very, very important. But by now they grew, the two teeth. But at that time, things like that are real crucial. Those small little details are real crucial when you're trying to find someone that's lost. It's very eager that it gets out there about her molds, especially the burn and then the birthmark, because she will still have those. She might not have the birthmark right directly on her stomach, because as we grow, our skin does stretch. So it might be a little bit above that to her stomach, in the middle of her chest maybe, and her birthmark might be on her hip by now. The moles are darker, especially the one that's nearest to her ear, because that one was already the darkest. So with that being said, I am gonna let Noema go home because she did come out. She did come home from work, but I do appreciate that Noema came by to let us know about these things that Dulce already had prior to her abduction. So now with that said, now we can, how do you call it?
Well, real
Designate
quick,
her for arrest.
real quick before you let her go, if she has anything to say to the person that took Dulce, and by any chance that person gets to look at this video, what would she like to say to them?
Ponte un poquito más cerquita. A la persona que se llevó a la nena. Dile en español o se lo dices en inglés. Doesn't matter. What would you tell him right now um, talk to him about bringing your daughter back home?
I will tell him, that person, to please speak up and for so Dulce could come back home, because it's been way too long without knowing nothing about her. We just want her home and safe.
There you have it.
All right, all right.
And it was her two front teeth. Nena, it was her two front teeth. Lo de arriba o de abajo. Her two top front teeth were missing at the time that she disappeared. So like I said, that was real important when instead of while they were saying the clothes. You know how when they're looking for a suspect, they say, "Oh, the person has 3 tattoos of the Holy Ghost, a cross, and a whale on him." That would be the same way that they would shoot out the description of a missing child. It would be the clothing and certain things that will separate them from the rest of the crowd. And these molds were important because at the same time, if you're not seeing them when they're producing these pictures and when they're talking about her, when they're describing her, you know, it was last time she was seen was a yellow shirt, whatever, the checkered pants with the flowers on it, white little heels with the elephant in the front. And also, she had those 3 moles that are on her face. That would literally have separated her from a crowd. It's because it's those little distinct marks that will separate someone from the crowd. And with that, that should have been put out there. But thank you guys for tuning in. You guys were awesome. Thank you guys for not coming on here and disrespecting Noema and giving her the respect, because I do know since the day of the anniversary, her mom has gotten some things on her posts on Facebook, and that's not nice. These parents, these people are looking for a missing loved one, and the least that they need is people going on up there wasting their energy and being ignorant and disrespectful instead of just sharing the picture. Just share the picture. It's not going to cost you. It's free 99, free 99 to share that picture. It's not going to cost you nothing to share the picture. Thank you guys for tuning in, and with that said, I am going to let him close out on this, and I am leaving.
All right. Well, thank you, Miss Naoma, for coming through and blessing the Moses Beauchamp Jr. YouTube channel. Thank you for clearing up some of the questions that I had. And I'm sure that the public is also grateful for you coming through and clearing, clearing the air and, a lot of things that people may have questions on. So with that said, my good peoples, this is your boy Moses Beauchamp Jr. signing out. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit that like button on your way out. And I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.